Hello, my name is Steve Hormuth and I'm with Personal Choice Mortgages. Welcome to my expert interview with expert divorce attorney Anita Kain from Kain and Ball. Anita, maybe if you want to just tell us a few little things about yourself.
Certainly. Kain and Ball is a firm that we established, my former partner and I, David Ball, 15 years ago out here in Mississauga. We deal exclusively in family law issues. We are a firm currently of 7 lawyers, all family law experts, all exclusively practicing in the area of family law. We are got various range of experience from fairly junior counsel to myself as the most senior counsel, and I've been practicing for 25 years, all in the area of family law.
Okay, great. And so what we're here for today is we're going to do a quick interview with Anita to find out a little bit more about how divorce and mortgages relate. What are some of the frequent questions that keep popping up, and hopefully we can address some of those concerns. And then if you need any further assistance, you can always contact either myself or Anita, and we'll give you our contact information afterwards. So one of the first questions we need to ask is basically what happens when someone comes in here saying that they're looking for a divorce and they're sharing a matrimonial home and they currently have a mortgage on the property. How typically do most people handle that situation? Does the mortgage go to one person, or do some people decide just to sell? Typically most people, I imagine, one stays in the house, one buys another property, but what are the sort of scenarios that you see frequently?
Well, there are various scenarios, and some of those scenarios depend on what the circumstances of the family are. For example, if there are children, the preference is often that one party will stay in the home with the children, and just for reference sake, let's say it's the wife, might prefer to stay in the home with the children. So when we do the equalization calculation, the division of the property, if you will, and the wife would like to keep the house as a part of her property settlement. If there's a mortgage on the matrimonial home, then what has to happen is the husband would transfer his ownership of the home to the wife, but there would still be a mortgage on the property, which, if the property was held jointly by the parties, would still be in joint names. And that puts the husband in a position where he no longer owns an asset, but is still on the covenant. And banks don't always like to release the husband from the covenant, because it's always better if you have 2 people responsible for the debt than one. And then sometimes you might face the problem where the wife may not be able to qualify for a conventional mortgage on her own. So depending on whose interests you're representing, if you're representing the interests of the party who is transferring their interest in the matrimonial home to the other party, you would like there to be a requirement that there be a refinancing and a full release, so that there's no debt obligation once the property is transferred. That can sometimes cause some difficulty with the ability to refinance, depending on the financial circumstances of the couple. So that's one issue we see frequently.
Okay.
So that sometimes the traditional bank mortgages do pose a bit of an issue for us.
And then that's definitely something that I can help out with, because a lot of the times if you now just have, say, the wife on title, she might not be earning enough income to qualify on her own for the mortgage, and a lot of the traditional big banks obviously want someone else on title. But if that's not the case, we might have to seek out alternate financing, where there's a lot of different lenders out there who do in fact offer what's called equity mortgages or no income qualifying mortgages, where we don't necessarily need to show all of your income in order to qualify for these particular mortgages. So that definitely can help you out in these sort of scenarios.
And in a lot of cases, in the scenario that we're talking about, where the wife is going to be assuming the interest in the home, she isn't going to be receiving traditional income in the sense of going out to work, because in some cases she may not have been employed. So her source of income will be spousal support and or child support. And there may be some difficulty with the banks in terms of getting financing if those are the only sources of income. So there might be a requirement of co-signers or guarantors, and that's not always readily available.
Mm-hmm.
So those, again, are some obstacles that can be faced.
Right, right. And then regarding the support payments as well, a lot of people don't realize this, but we can also actually gross up the support payments as well to increase the amount of income you're showing. So some banks do that, some banks don't. So it's best to talk to a good mortgage planner about that and which banks can offer that sort of scenario to help you get qualified easier. Is there any other sort of common issues that we see besides the scenarios that we just talked about as well?
Well, family law is a very complex area of the law. A lot of people think that it's just, you just take everything and you divide it 50-50, and that's really not quite how it works. There's a formula for equalization, and there's a process for dealing with assets and with debts. So mortgages, which tend to be sort of the most common family debt, they do surface in scenarios where, for example, there's a family business and one of the parties has used the matrimonial home and as a way to finance or supplement the financing on a family business, and then that may raise issues in the equalization. You have to deal with that issue because now suddenly the equity in the home has gone into a business which is not jointly owned necessarily, maybe owned by one party. So you'd have to look at how we would have to deal with scenarios like that on an equalization. The other thing that comes up with mortgages at times is we find that couples will come to us sometimes, or not couples, one of the parties will come to us, because usually by the time they come to me they're no longer a couple. And there will be a mortgage registered on title of the matrimonial home, because at some point in time funds were advanced, let's say from parents, and they wanted to make sure that in the event that there was a divorce or other circumstances that they would get paid back. So we have to look at those carefully and make sure that that they are still within the limitation period and so on. So it is a complex area of the law, and mortgages do creep in various ways. But I think the most common ones are the ones that we've talked about, where you have to work with the couple in separating and dealing with the debt once one of them decides they want to keep the house as an asset.
And I think, I guess in your field as well as in mine, we talked about these common scenarios, but everyone's different. Everyone's situation is different. So a lot of the times it's hard to say, to blanket everyone and come up with a solution for everyone, because everyone's situation is different. So I think the best bet for the people watching the video, if they find themselves in a divorce situation, is it's very important that they get independent advice, like a professional like Anita or myself, and we can sit down with you and have a consultation with you and find out exactly what your specific circumstance is, and then advise you accordingly. Because obviously this short video isn't going to do you any justice. So the best interest is for you to give one of us a call. Anita, if you want to give out your contact information.
Certainly. As I said, we're here in Mississauga. We also have offices in Toronto, but our main office is here, and our number is 905-273-4588. And you can call and book a 30-minute free consultation with any one of our lawyers.
Great. And my name is, again, Steve Cormuth, and I'm a mortgage agent in Mississauga too, and I can be reached at 905-290-0180. Just want to thank Anita for taking the time to have this brief interview with me. And again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact us. Thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Steve.